Y'all ready for a nightmare-infused comic book? This is Wolverine issue 66. And this book, man, I had to read it a couple of times to kind of get the whole premise because I was kind of like, what's going on here? And there are so many, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Easter eggs to old school pop culture. And I was just kind of like, wait a minute, what? So let's dive into this. This was Larry Hama, writer, Mark Texeira doing the art, Steve Biasi doing the art assistants, Pat Brosseau doing the lettering, Steve Buccellato colorist, and then of course Bob Harris and Tom DeFalco being editor-in-chief, respectfully. We are opening up in Ottawa, Canada. Last time I saw this dump, I was drowning in rock gut, pretzels in my eyebrows, the whole soggy bit. But that wasn't too long ago. If last summer was the summer of love, maybe this is the winter of my discontent. The Tet offensive is still going on, and the Mets ain't won the pennant yet. Has it really been 4 years since JFK got taken out? So we're thinking, okay, the print date on this book is 1993. Like, wait a minute, what? So that kind of sets the whole, and just those couple of dialogue boxes, we are thinking, wait a minute, what the hell's going on? And then what I like about kind of the foreshadowing in terms of the composition here, as it says prophecy, which very much to me is like a nod back to Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X run on Marvel Presents. I can't remember if this was the name of the same bar or not. I can't remember what that, or not the bar. It was like a place that they took in addicts to help them recover. It might be the same place. I can't remember. But what's interesting is how we kind of got like the hippie Moonchild here, and then of course Sergeant Pepper's Beatles here in the background, and you're thinking, okay, this is a little bit of a sensory overload. What in the world is going on? And so we open it up, and we see we see Spock and Kirk from the Enterprise. We see I Love Lucy, and he comes in, and again, I think this is the same place because he just walks past the dude and he goes, "I've fallen and I can't get up. This is our mission, brother, to provide shelter to the fallen, to go where no man has gone before." And you're just kind of thinking, whoa, okay, wait a minute. Why are we making all these inflections to TV references, etc., so forth? He goes, "I'm going up to 23. Poor soul, speaking in tongues he was. What did he mean by room 23? We don't have a room 23. Used to be back when the Reverend Mike ran the place. All the rooms was numbered for his favorite Psalms." And so that goes into Psalms 23, where it's "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," just for those of you that aren't sure. He goes, "Hell's coming, you know." Huh? Prophecy is part of apocalypse. You know that. That's when we get the big surprise. That's when we find out all the secrets. And so we finally cut back to something a little more sensible, like, okay, that was a lot to take in. Like, why is Wolverine thinking that the 60s were just right around the corner? Or you know what I'm saying? And he goes, "What happened here? Who could have destroyed Wolverine's room?" And they look at the claw marks, Gene. He did this to himself, but why? And Xavier kind of fesses up. He goes, "On the contrary, I suspect his past caught up with him and consumed him. He's not denying the past. He's obliterating the present by visiting the phantoms of his past. How do you know this, Professor Xavier?" It's my fault. I tampered with his mind. He asked me to. He never asked me for anything before." And then we cut back to Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine. "Why'd you come back, Logan?" And now, from what I understand, because I'm like, wait a minute, how is this guy all of a sudden follow Logan up into his room? So spoilers, and the reason that I think this is the same place, and I read some of the backstory on this issue because it laid out all the references, because I was like, wait a minute, what? I mean, I know a lot, but not a lot, if you get my point. If you go back and read the first issue of Marvel Presents from Barry Windsor Smith, I think it's 72. I can't remember, but if you guys want to, we went over it. There's a playlist, so I'll try to remember to put it in this video. But there was a guy outside the prophecy that I think OD'd that Logan knew. So this is basically his ghost. So we're kind of getting like a Scrooge inference here. So he's basically, because he knows him by name, he goes, "Why'd you come back, Logan?" "I was playing pinball. An angel started whispering secrets in my ear. You got a crowbar on you?" As a matter of fact. Pinball? Yeah, I was down at the Outer End, down at Salem Center. Nice place. Level pool tables, good sides on the juke, and fresh sawdust on the floor. And again, we just start seeing, abandoned hope all year here. So we get like Dante Inferno, and for instance, he goes, "What's wrong with that ball? It looks like me." And so again, going back to his past that he's apparently living at this moment, is he wasn't Wolverine. He wasn't even Weapon X yet. He was CIA, I believe. And so he's just kind of seeing this different version of him. And then, of course, Gene, don't you know where you go? If you fall down the chute, don't you? No! And then, of course, the Dante Inferno reference. No, I can't be. And so we see two Genes, or I don't know if one's supposed to be Madeline or not. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then this character here, she goes, Logan, what? It doesn't have to be that way. Not at all. You just have to resolve things with Terry Adams. And I can't remember this girl's name, but it was like the volume 2 90s version of X-Men. It was like issue 3 or 4. This was a character that died, and she's kind of become his quote-unquote angel on the shoulder. And of course, all the old school ads. But yeah, there's a lot to take in this book. I don't want to go through every single thing, but this is one of these type of issues where you can't just sit down and expect to read a linear action story. This very much goes back to like the early Chris Claremont New Mutants, Bill Sienkiewicz style working, like when they introduced Legion. And that's one thing I will say. I mean, I've heard mixed thoughts on Mark Texeira. And yes, there are books like his Sabretooth book. The artwork I was a little, but it works in this regard. And I can very much see, I could be wrong, but to me, I see very much Bill Sienkiewicz in this style. If you go back and look at New Mutants or his work with Daredevil, etc., so forth, and it adds that very dark noir vibe. So we cut back to the X Mansion. I was working in the Scilab when Wolverine appeared at the door. He told me how he buried Silver Fox with his own hands, how he walked 200 miles through the woods to get to a place where he could hitch a ride to the next bus station. He had a long time to think on that walk, and he decided he wanted a favor from me. So I need you to go inside my head, maybe make things right again. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I don't know which memories are the real ones. It would be as if I were trying to put together a jigsaw puzzle without knowing what the picture was. Charlie, I don't want the deluxe job. I just want the blocks taken away. I want to see what's hidden. I can't do it. The risks. And I like how here we get this very heavy shadow fill of Logan. He goes, you ever try to remember something and you just couldn't? You rack your brain for hours and it's just out of reach, like an itch in the middle of your back. Half of my life's like that, Charlie. Give me a break. So we can just see, even though he has this healing factor, we can just see the mental exhaustion and toll on his body. And then we finally get, as he's ripping through the floor, his angel, which I can't remember her name again. She goes, yea, through I walk. This last board just won't lever out. Let me help you, Logan. I can help. And again, Janice, I'm not sure who she is, but again, she was another character that died. But they rip open the floor and we find cash, weapons, ID cards for every major security agency in the world with blank expiration dates, KGB, CIA, GRU, MI5, even Shin Knife. And if I if I mispronounce any of those, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. Check it out. UN peacekeeping force credentials, a diplomatic pouch, bundles of Swiss francs, and piles of Krugerrands. This is a mission cache, isn't it? The goodies you need to whack old Terry Adams. And so from what I'm reading here, because you don't really get to see Terry Adams, at least, I don't know, I haven't read the next issue yet, but I feel like he's sort of the MacGuffin, kind of like the Maltese Falcon in a sense. And so I think it's just the beat to try to move the story forward, but the main plot here is Wolverine fighting with his own mental anguish, as Xavier agreed. He goes, we were already in the Scilab. I stripped him down and gathered electro gels on the temples, as I did the same to myself. I knew I simply couldn't reach in and take away the memory blocks. I had to enter Wolverine's subconscious myself. I had to step into his worst nightmares. A spiked, tentacled world of pain, stinging, burning, exploding, amidst inanimate, horrific phantasms. I had to locate the core of Wolverine's self. I found it just beyond a monstrous fanged tree, a tree nursing a litter of radiators. Logan, remember Terry Adams. Terry Adams. And I just love how the artwork enhances the dialogue, as we kind of gets this moment of realization, the anger, and then just this very punk rock, just Terry Adams, which leads Logan to, which is okay. That's we're gonna pass the Jubilee shower scene. That's something else in this book. Anyway, he ends up in Kazakh because he believes, again, spoilers. He believes this is like the 70s or 80s. And he's back to being a CIA operative, and he has to assassinate Terry Adams, which leads him here to the Middle East. He goes, pickings were much better when we were in the KGB. When there was a KGB, democracy, a spit on it. How can border guards like us be living in, make a living in democracy? A goat, some freight. Wait, that passenger. He's dressed like an American. And look, and we see Logan use American cash, which kind of blows his cover. And then this part just completely tripped me up, because what I like about Logan is each time we see him in different areas, we see different versions of, like, we see Wolverine, we see Logan, and then here we kind of get like a Western Clint Eastwood style. Too many people merging with my brain. Got memory implants on my memory implants. Can't let that stop me from carrying out my mission, whatever it is. Got to keep the world safe. That's my job. That's what I do. And you're the best at what you do. And I mean, Castro, Elvis, JFK, and Jackie, and I think that's supposed to be Buzz Aldrin, and a goat. And he's just sitting there and he goes, thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself. But remember those guys that were watching him? That kind of gives it away. And yeah, it messes with Logan. And yeah, guys, this is very much one of those like CIA operative espionage psychological head trips. So when you read this, go in knowing that this isn't going to be like your slash and action typical Wolverine story. You're going to have to stop, read a little bit, take it in, read some more, and just let it kind of consume you a little bit. Just dive into the madness. So yeah, Wolverine 66. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you like to get your action figures and comics, and pick up this issue. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little adamantium bell next, subscribe. That way, as I can upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you on hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure that the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.